I do not blame you for failing. Like I failed at this too. Like it's not a sustainable or realistic way to operate. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fit, Healthy, and most of all, Happy podcast. I am your coach and host, Josh, here with
co-host and co-coach KG, and I'm in the house.
Today, I'm really excited about this episode because I'm going to share the secrets to how I've stayed ripped over the last 10 years through all the major events in my life, through the ups and downs, with just my consistent formula to get that done, the freedom formula. And I want to talk about how I found my way into this and why it's been so successful and how I've been able to use this for all 5,000 plus of my clients and the transformations we've done here and the journey I've taken that's probably very similar to yours. So when I started out, I wanted to be fitter, and I distinctly remember just the excitement behind it. I got the bug, I got fired up, and motivation is a beautiful thing. I started instantly axing away anything that I didn't deem as healthy, and I began this black and white dichotomy in my head of good foods and bad foods. And the goal was to completely remove the bad food. So I used to love things like nacho chips and salsa. Like I used to eat a lot of those and other random stuff. And instead I'd take that away, and I just started aiming to eat only things that I would deem as healthy. And this worked well. I felt really good. It was a big shift. I got fired up. I think I started to lose a little bit of weight. But what was really hard was, as I would do this, there'd be times where I'd deviate from this, or I'd be in a situation where there were no healthy foods. And that would just cause me to go off the deep end. And I remember I would just eat whatever. I'd feel super guilty about it. It'd be hard to actually enjoy food, because if it wasn't healthy food, I was failing. And I quickly realized this is not a realistic way to live, because if you're just in this cycle of either you're good or you're bad, it creates almost you begin to despise the process, and you don't actually appreciate food for what it is, which is actually eating healthy food. I think you had a similar experience, right?
Yeah, my biggest thing that really stands out to me was just the mornings that I would spend hours cooking stuff that I felt like I could only eat. So I remember it was a meal plan I started to follow. I think it was someone like Steve Cook or some bodybuilding.com thing. And I remember just having on my plate, I'll never forget it, a bunch of fish, a bunch of chicken, brown rice, and broccoli. And that was my breakfast. And I just hated it. It was I felt like I was a beast, because I'm I'm doing stuff that's different than other people. And then it just kind of became this thing where I was man, how can I keep this up? This just isn't realistic. And then the second thing was, I just remember going to some parties. I still had some high school friends that I would see, and I started to become healthier, and I was trying to just live this healthy, great lifestyle. And it's funny because I felt I was man, I'm the man. Everyone's kind of complimenting it and kind of just curious about it. And I'm no, I'm this healthy dude. And I would bring broccoli, chicken, and rice. I would have my Tupperware container and I would bring it everywhere. And it did work for a little bit, right? I was making better decisions. I was making progress. But similar to Josh, it's from there, it's where do I go? How can I travel? How can I have a social life? How can I do things? And it was funny because even when I would get my hands on something, I would feel so guilty. So I remember just having a drumstick, one of those ice cream drumsticks. And I was so scared that people would see me, because I was starting to be this healthy person, and just criticize me. And then it was just this mindset thing. I was man, this just isn't healthy. And then I would go off the deep end because I had that 250 calorie drumstick. I felt, you know what? I already messed up. What's another 250? What's another 1,000? And I just would go back and forth, and it just became this unsustainable routine where I was there has to be something different. And then that's when Josh and myself came up with the freedom formula.
Yeah, and Kyle nailed it there, I think, too, because you become this healthy person and you need to live to that image. And when you're against that, you feel so shameful. And that's where they'll usually say shame dies in the light. So even in that example, right, if you're in this thing where it's good or bad, and people will judge you if you eat food, that's where people will get into these binge eating behaviors, right? Because it's either it's good foods or it's bad foods. You demonize anything that isn't healthy or perfect, or maybe you demonize sugar or carbs or something it is that you like. And you can naturally see how this is not sustainable. My mom used to make pasta. I loved it. It was one of my favorite things. I used to feel so guilty eating it, and it'd be this whole thing, and it's ridiculous. And I'm really fortunate that this was a tiny period of my time, because I really started to look up and do some heavy research into nutrition, sustainability, the actuality of it. Flexible dieting became of a bigger position, but even flexible dieting neglects some components to have a lot of success. And if you've tried this whole good and bad thing of dieting, I do not blame you for failing. Like I failed at this too. Like it's not a sustainable or realistic way to operate. And I think time and time again, people are blown away. Like they'll see me, let's say I'm at a pool or something, and like I have abs, I'm looking good, I'm shredded, I'm big, and people will just assume I'm not eating anything. And then like I'll happily have literally whatever. Like I'll eat any type of food it is I want to eat. And that's the beauty of it. And even having just traveled, me and Kyle were in Texas. We went to like Carbone. So we were having amazing pastas and breads, and we're having all these fun, crazy, cool, unique foods. We were enjoying them the whole time. And I actually ended up losing weight. That's just because I follow my formula. And what I like about formulas and math is Albert Einstein himself said the most powerful force in the universe is compounding. And when you take the tenets of a sustainable nutrition plan and you let them compound together, that's how you see absolutely bonkers results. And there's a reason I look the way I look, Kyle looks the way he looks, and our clients look the way they look. And that's because we implement these things day in, day out. And I think people are blown away when they'll be like, oh, even recently we made some new friends at the conference. Kyle sent a photo of his Chick-fil-A and they're like, did you get fries too? And he's like, of course. Like, it's funny though, because I was thinking about it and they were saying that's why they knew they liked us. And I was thinking like, why is it such a big deal to get fries? But some people like legit will be on this whole, like, I'm trying to be fit and healthy, so I'm not going to get fries. I'm going to get the chicken, I'm going to get salad, and they look so good. And you get this holier than you mentality. And then when you fall off, like you fall off hard, you're slamming everything. You need cheat days, which are horribly unsustainable. And you're just like creating this cycle of despair. I actually have it in my phone, like a cycle of despair where you just end up in this same cyclical mistake of not seeing progress. And that's where even for us, like we really learned about the science of macros, and in particular, demonizing foods is a losing formula, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. Foods don't make you fat. Being in a surplus will make you put on fat. That's just the reality. And that's where calories in, calories out is king, but it neglects a lot of info in between it. And of course, you want to be healthy. And of course, if I'm trying to hit my macros on McDonald's food, it'll be very hard to do so. And also, it'll be very hard mentally to do so because I'm not going to be sated by it. It's going to lack fiber, nutrients. It's going to lack a lot. And that's where we've created this freedom formula that we've been following that has allowed us to eat whatever we want without sabotaging progress and having consistent progress. So I want to walk you through that as well as how to do it so you don't have to struggle. So the first and biggest component of this being a formula is you need a path. Like my path wasn't realistic. Like just eating only healthy foods and trying to eat as little of it as possible is a losing game because I'd be eating to nothing. Kyle following some random dude's meal plan is ridiculous for like a 16-year-old kid to be following some 30-year-old dude who competes for shows meal plan who's also on steroids. Like you can see how there's no rhythm or rhyme to the logic. It's just like a hoo-ha, just pick some random plan. And I always like to say, if you can't follow your diet for the next 3 years, it's going to fail. Like it's just 100% going to fail. Like sure, I can cook and eat super healthy and everything's nice and easy when I'm in my house. What about when I'm traveling? What about when I'm at a wedding? What about if I'm like at a cottage for the weekend, right? Like, so naturally, if it doesn't work in every situation, it's going to fail. So that's where you need a path and you need like reasoning behind it. So that's where as a coach, I really help people create their path because people will get confused and they'll cut sometimes when they shouldn't be cutting and they could actually lose a lot of fat and put muscle on at maintenance. Some people actually need to raise their calories and actually begin kind of reigniting their hormones and their systems so they can actually burn more fat, put on more muscle, and actually see the change there. Because like I said, also if you're just dieting into infinity, like when does it end? What are you working towards? And I think people lack that high level information and they'll have very short-term goals where they'll do things and they'll do it drastically and then they'll blow it out and it becomes a mess. So the path is so important and everyone will have a different path as well. Kyle might like riding a bike or might like running. I might like riding a bike. Who's to say one's superior to the other? There's different mechanisms. So in this case, people get too quick to align with keto. They'll do no carb. They'll do all these funky diets, intermittent fasting, and like those are just really short-term results, right? Like as long as you know the route and how you get there, like the vehicle you take isn't the most important. And I think overcomplicating it just isn't a solution as well because sure, maybe keto will work because it's ultra strict and you're actually just putting yourself in a deficit. But the second you're in a situation where you can't do keto, you're not going to have results. So like that's where you're going to just lose all this weight and put it back on. And that's why I love the quote, America doesn't have a weight loss problem. It is a weight regain problem. And that's where all too often, like I'm sure if you're listen to this, you've lost weight and you've put it back on, you're unsure how to keep it off. And that's where having a path is important, because even for my clients, like when we do a deficit, there's a start end, there's a position where we can enter maintenance, there's unload weeks, there's refeeds, there's different phasing and cycles to where you can just ride that wave. And for me, I can snap my fingers. I could bulk tomorrow, or today rather, I could be in a deficit, I could be at maintenance. I have control over what I'm eating, how my physique looks. It just becomes quite simple. And that brings us into the second position, which is falling within our goals of our protein and calories.
Yeah, and like even on that note, I just want to say like that lever is so important. So like Josh said, being able to bulk or cut, all you're simply going to do is just pull a lever. And to me, it's just such a free feeling to have that control, to be able to look at my protein, my calories, my numbers, and everything in front of me and say, I have the control. Like the food doesn't have the control over me. No one has control. It's like I have the control to make the decisions, to do what I want to do and be able to see results. Like that is such a freeing feeling. But with that, there's the two most important things, which will simply be the calorie goals. So obviously if Josh were to just want to start to bulk up, we'd pull the lever a little bit, we'd increase the calories. And if he wants to shred down, and a lot of our clients are doing this exactly, we'll just bring them down quite a bit while making sure that we're hitting our protein goals. So these are two of the most important things that's going to help within the freedom formula. And it's funny because there was even an example like the other day. I just remember having like a heavy amount of protein early in the morning, and I felt so good from it. And I felt so satisfied. And I remember there was an opportunity to get some other unhealthier food. I don't remember what it was. It was actually about 2 weeks ago, and I was like, I'm totally happy. Like I just had 45 grams of protein. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling stuffed. I feel incredible. And so this alone makes such a big difference in terms of helping you maintain your muscle mass, lose body fat, maintain your strength, become satiated. And protein is going to be so important within this formula. And if you just say, hey, I'm going to hit my calories and that's it, you're going to be misguided, because you're just not going to be losing as much fat, building as much muscle. You're not going to be as satiated. And then also calories, that will be like the most important thing. Like that's the lever that will make the most difference, of course, within this journey. So yeah, protein and calorie goals, having them set for you is going to make such a big difference, because Josh and myself, we're completely different people. Me and you are completely different. It needs to be customized for you. And that's where a lot of people go wrong with this, is they'll say, oh, you know what, I'm going to follow whatever this person's doing or whatever someone says they're doing. And it's just, you're on a wrong path if it's not actually created for your situation. So that's going to be step number 2 here.
And once we have our path, it's nice and easy when you actually have your calories and your protein. And what's cool about this is calories are how we follow our path. And what's amazing, one thing Coach Jason said that I love, are people see like calories and tracking food as being extra work, as being like actually them being restricted. But to me, this is actually freedom. Like this is like bowling with those child rails on the actual thing. This gives you the freedom. You can still follow your path. You can still ball a strike, but it stops you from going off the deep end. It lets you follow and work within a structured formula to actually have success. So within this gives me total freedom. There's now no foods that are off limits. Naturally, if I have a food that's not as supportive of my goals, it's going to make it harder to hit that. I'm going to have to do more planning. But right away, the second you feel like you can't have something, it's amazing how much you want it. So when you can remove that whole element, this gives you the flexibility to follow your path in a really streamlined and effective manner. And then if I said, hey, what if you could go through life with a cheat code where you have infinite money and everything's just easier? Protein's like that with a diet. Like protein is an amazing, amazing nutrient because it actually sates you more. So you're actually going to be more full when you have more of it. It's going to help you have more energy. It's going to supply branched chain amino acids. It's going to help you keep more muscle as you take off more fat. It's also going to help you put on more muscle. So when you optimize for this, you'd be amazed how easy it is to hit your calories. I love the example, like if you were to eat your calories with just chicken breast and lettuce, or spinach rather, you could not. Like you would be so stuffed, it would be absurd. And now naturally, that's not what we want to do at all. And that's where we utilize 80-20.
And the 80-20 principle is absolutely fantastic. One of the big parts of this freedom formula, where 80% of the foods you're going to be consuming are healthy, whole foods, single ingredients. When we think of these foods, we typically know what it is. It's going to be the chicken breast, the steak, the meats, lots of veggies, lots of those really really healthy foods. And then the 20% can be filled up with some of the more fun foods, such as a cookie down at the local bakery or someone's brownie recipe that they made that they're really excited to share with you. And this, to me, truthfully is what saved me. And I don't say this lightly. It's that I used to really, really struggle. Like, I enjoy sweets. The second I would get my hands on it, it'd be game over. It'd be like, all right, today's a wash, maybe even tomorrow, and who cares? And I'm sure a lot of you have felt that way as well. It's like the feeling of pushing something off, of having those restrictions, of having those labels, and realizing like, there's no way I'm going to ever have this. And I see so many people struggle within this where if they get their hands on something, they completely binge. But a lot of people end up when it's pushed down the road where you say, hey, on the weekend I'll do it, they just end up completely having a full-on weekend of just unhealthy foods, not doing anything. And this truly is sustainable, right? And the cool thing about it is it doesn't always have to be 80-20. It could be 90-10, it could be 95-5, but this alone, this simple principle of like, hey, most of my calories, like 80 to 90% are like some really good options. And then the other 10 to 20 is just something a little bit more enjoyable. It could be a donut, like whatever it is that you wanted to fit in, whether it's rice cakes, anything like that, you can fit it in once you hit all of these parameters. And I truly believe it can change the game for so many of you.
Kyle nailed that. And having this structure of freedom, obviously we want to do it with balance. Like when you have no freedom, it's just not realistic. And when you have too much freedom, that's not good either. And that's where for this, like we want to be healthier. We want to eat good food. It feels good to eat good food. Like when you're eating nice food and you're not bloated, your stomach feels great. You're not lethargic. Your energy's there. Like that's the best feeling in the world. But also there's so much good food out there. Like there's things you want to enjoy. You want to be social. If your grandma makes some special cookies for your birthday, you don't want to be like, oh, I can't have this cookie. I'm getting shredded. You can absolutely fit in that cookie, have balance. And like this actually gives you the freedom to eat what you want. And if you want to be a hooligan and you want to have 6 cookies, like you still could make that work. And now, is that the healthiest decision in the world? Absolutely not. But it's a lot healthier than just going off the deep end and binging and losing all your progress. Like this will fully keep you on track. And this eliminates these crazy swings. Because if you want to talk about having metabolic damage or destroying your hormones, best way you can do that is to lose a bunch of weight and then put it back on super quick. That is like the worst thing you can do. That's how you're going to hold more visceral fat. So naturally you can see how implementing this is everything. And this formula is what's worked for ourselves, worked for 5,000 plus clients. Where it gets a little bit more difficult is actually in the implementation. So it's really important the data you use in your tracking is the best it can be. Utilizing things like pre-logging, like it's going to be a very different story if you just log in your food however you want and you're just blurring lines and making it look however it wants to look. You want to be absolutely confident that you're just like on the best path for you and that it's realistic and you're working it in with your life. And then you want to have the freedom to implement this with no matter what comes up.
Yeah, and even on that note, something I really recommend is just like actually taking the time to learn. So one of the things I give credit to within this entire journey of the freedom formula is being able to actually take a look at things instead of just like blindly following and entering the numbers. So what's really cool is like I genuinely feel like I can go into whatever store, whether it's a bakery, a grocery store, it could be an airplane, it could be like no matter what the situation is, I can take a look with kind of like a tunnel vision. It's almost like these like glasses on where it's kind of like it's just like scanning everything. And because I've utilized like the knowledge that I've built, not just from helping people, but like in my own situations, similar to Josh, like we can look at these foods and be like, hey, this alone is going to be the right decision, or it may not be the right decision, so you can act accordingly. But I just want to stress, like even going to Dallas this past week, being able to try some of the fun foods, being able to go in and say, hey, I brought some protein snacks. We did our best. Like we had a lot of principles we had in place. That's another thing is like still trying to be mindful and like plan as best as possible. Like Josh said, the pre-logging, that's still very important. And that allows you to have freedom within other areas later on. But to me, this is freedom, like having control, being able to make the right decisions, feel confident with it is just, it's such a fulfilling feeling. And I really want every single person listening to this podcast to be able to say they feel that way when they have an event coming up, a wedding, a trip, for you to be able to say, hey, I actually feel good about what I'm going to do here. And I'm going to be able to lose weight like Josh did going to Texas, which is crazy. It's just because of this formula. So what we're going to do is we're going to save you time. We're going to get you 5 times faster results. And we want to show you that you do have what it takes with guaranteed results to be able to give you the confidence to make the right decisions in whatever circumstance, and not just be able to lose weight and make the right decisions for a short period of time, but for the rest of your life. All you have to do is DM me with the keyword freedom to Colossus Fit, COLOSSUSFIT. This is for you if you want to avoid the struggling, if you want to avoid being in that constant cycle of losing weight, gaining weight, and just that constant dieting phase. If you want to break free of this change, message me. I promise you I will get you there. I'll be there for you every single step of the way. It really doesn't have to be that hard, especially when you have the right systems and the right person by your side. And I will be there for you to help you break free of struggling and feel your absolute best in whatever situation you're in. If you've enjoyed this episode, which I know you absolutely have, you've learned a lot, please consider sharing it with a friend. It'll mean the world. It's how this podcast grows, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace out.